let's dive right in and let's talk about President Trump. And the question here is, what is Donald Trump's real goal? Okay. And this is something that I've been thinking about lately. And like I said, I've come up with a theory on what his real goal is. And I may be late to the table on this, but this is just kind of my idea. And I want you to challenge me on this because so many of his policies make no sense. They make no sense economically. A lot of his policies are contradictions with other policies, but yet he remains in power. And yet you wonder, what does he really care about? I mean, what does he really care about? So let's go through this. I mean, the first thing is, we're always seeing these bombastic ideas. Like, here's the picture of Trump as the new pope that he put out on his, I don't know if that was True Social or Instagram, but we've seen all of the other bombastic ideas. We're going to deport all the illegal aliens. We're going to build a big, beautiful wall. We've got a big, beautiful bill. We're going to, what else did he say? We're going to rename it the Gulf of Mexico. We're going to rename it the Gulf of California. They're eating dogs and cats. All of this nonsense. And this is like obviously unlike any other president we've ever seen. But it makes you wonder, does he really, really, personally, does he care about a lot of these things? I mean, you could even roll back the clock into the 1980s, and there's been really two big things he's been talking about for like roughly 40 years. And one of them is illegal immigration, and the other are, trade imbalances, trade tariffs, trade wars. So it's essentially illegal immigration and trade. But there's all this other stuff that he talks about that are just crazy. But do you think he really cares about illegal immigration? I mean, think it through here, okay? Are his jobs, his family's jobs threatened by illegal immigrants? No. Is there crime in where he lives? No. And granted, illegal immigrants commit far less crime on a per capita basis than American citizens do. And he hires illegal immigrants to work in his hotels and his casinos. He's married immigrant wives, 3 of them, one of which, Melania, I think, was an illegal immigrant for a period of time. So he doesn't care about illegal immigrants, but that was the first thing he talked about when he announced his president's campaign in 2015. Remember when he was at Trump Tower and he came down the escalator and, they're all a bunch of criminals and murderers and rapists and, all these Mexicans, and we're going to build a big, beautiful wall to keep them out. Well, maybe some of them are good. And it was shocking when he made that announcement. And you're thinking, does he really believe this? And I don't think he does. I mean, I don't think it really matters to him. I mean, if illegal immigrants are getting free government services, which they do in some cases, like, education, if you're an illegal immigrant family and you have an illegal immigrant child, I mean, they can still get education at government schools, at public schools. I know that illegal immigrants, if they roll into a emergency room, they can get health care. And I think that's partly paid or mostly or all paid by taxpayer dollars. But generally speaking, illegal immigrants aren't, in big numbers collecting Social Security or on Medicare or on food stamps. I mean, you got to be a citizen to qualify for all that. So does Trump really care about that? And really, in the whole scheme of things, it's a tiny, tiny fraction of the overall amount of money that government spends on the federal, state, and local levels on illegal immigrants, especially when the police state isn't going crazy running around deporting everybody. What all of this is these are all just manipulation of the media and manipulation of voters, particularly MAGA voters. And I think that this is the strategy here. He throws these things out there constantly to rally his base, to poke the Democrats, and ultimately to remain in power. So it's like he is running a circus here, and he's keeping everybody off balance when these are the issues he doesn't really care about. And so it makes me think of a magician, right? The thing with a magician, they always say is, watch what the other hand is doing, right? Because he gets the audience to focus on one thing, but meanwhile, he's doing something different. And so, what is that thing that's different? And here's my conclusion, and I'm going to break down some examples of this, is that as long as he's president of the United States, and he's going to go out there making deals, he's a deal-making president, which, he may or may not be able to pull all these off. I think a lot of that's in doubt. But ultimately, he wants to set up a platform, a power base, so that his children can go out doing deals around the world. And so the wealth of the Trump empire, the wealth of the Trump family grows and grows and grows. And he's using his power as president to make that happen. Because if he wasn't president, his kids wouldn't nearly have the kind of leverage that they have now in these kinds of negotiations. So let's kind of break this down into a couple of different examples.